Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Steve Cronin here with the Garden Renovation Experts. So I am still in the middle of building this 6.2 by 3.6 meter garden room. That may change every day very slightly, where I just forget. It's a big one. So anyway, here you can see this is where we got to. So the walls are all predominantly now built, which is bloody marvellous. Insulation through 3 walls of it. John Boy will be on it tomorrow, putting in insulation into these gaps. But my foundational work today is going to be these. So basically, is it 14, 15? 15 of these roof joists to put in, 7x2s. So I'll obviously run the full length all the way through. So here we go. Here's another little top tip, okay? So what we'll do is, the first one, we'll run in line with this wall, okay? So it'll sit on this top plate just here. And what that will then do is, once this is run the way through, I'll then get a piece of wood, much like this one. I will then pivot it, much like Ross did with the sofa in Friends, and that'll go there. So as this like piece of wood here goes up, as it kind of comes up the level, when the plasterboard's on, it gives you something to fix to all the way along. So that'll be done. That'll be in smaller sections. I'll show you a bit more about it later. But regardless of where this one starts, there will then be one on this 400, one on this 400. So basically the weight is distributed across that point, all the way across, okay? And then what we did, because we're smart monkeys, is when we get to 400, 400, and you kind of end up having a double joist because you've got to start a wall, regardless of then building this separate part of wall there, and then starting a new 400, we took into account, we stopped here on this 400, and then this one is in measured to the 400 center as well. So that you continuously run the 400 mark. There's the other 400 there. 400, 400, 400, 400, 400, 400. So that way, when you come to put the plasterboard on the inside walls, it just makes life a lot easier. So that way, you're always picking up a joist, not having to do unnecessary cuts where necessary, but yeah, it's not the end of the world, but you know, it just makes life a little bit easier. And we're all for that here. So yes, so I'm gonna crack on. Get these all trimmed to allow for the 150mm give or take at the back, and 600mm overhang at the front. So basically you can have a lovely canopy at about that big, you can see just there. I'll kind of give a little side angle, there you go. Obviously that's going to be finished in West Red Cedar. It's going to have like beautiful lights down lights in it as well. So yeah, it's going to look spanking. So that is it, site is set up, chargers are on. I'm going to drink a bit of mint tea and then crack on. Perfect. Righto, so I'm just cutting a couple of these joists, and I just thought I'd mention, like, one of the things you need to be careful of or look out for when you've got your sort of roofing joist and you kind of cut them to length. What you then need to do is don't just chuck it up and stick it in. What you want to do is you need to look down the length, okay? So you're not looking for really straightness going from left to right. What you're looking for is this bit of wood will have what's referred to as a crown. So it'll either go in that direction, sort of you know, a bit more curved like that, and then one side will be convexed like this. I think I've got those right. But either way, you need to make sure that the top, which will be your roof, is the curved part that goes up and down. Because if you put it the other way and you end up with a dip, you have that very slight potential to pour water on sort of parts of your roof. So if you manage to get like most of these, because you may not be able to find all of them, but give it a look. You'll see the difference in some of them more than others, but where you can, make sure you do get it so that the top is like that slight curve. So that way you know water will hit it and run off and piss off where you don't need it to be, as opposed to kind of sitting there and pooling. So yeah, that's just a top thing to do. And then once you kind of got it, say you're about to cut like all of these to size, give each one a gander potentially before you cut it, and then literally just put a little mark that says C on the top. So just mark it as a top, C top, crown, top, done. Either way, anything that then just signifies that you know and remember when you've cut them and you're just slinging down which is going to be the top and which is going to be the bottom. There's a little top tip for you. Happy days. Righto, welcome back again. Lovely warm, hat on, shades on, beautiful, but it's not too hot, so it's actually quite enjoyable in a second. So here we go. So that last video you said about making sure you got the crown, so you can't tell in the video, but the crown is going that way, which is very nice. So what I do with these is, and a little technique and sort of changing up to, is normally I'd say cut a noggin. That's going to be about 36 centimeters, which is generally between the 400 and the next 400, okay? But what you tend to find is that they do run out very slightly, so they don't quite fit perfectly. So what I do now is I line it up perfectly straight over this joint. I will then come to my string line, which I've set up at the front. I didn't do a video on this, so I'll explain this very quickly. So basically, the very furthest one, I set to with the right distance, put a nail in the back of it, which you can just see under there. Run a string line off of that one. Do the same over the other end. And then all I have to do is, when I drop my roof joist up, I just got to drag it forward until it touches. And then I know that each one of these is going to be perfectly in line. Beautiful. String comes in very handy for this sort of stuff, trust me. So once I've kind of got that and I've got it like on the level, on the 400, on the vertical stud there, I'll then come forward, drag it forward till it's just off of the string line. And now what I'm going to do is I've measured between there and there. So now I've cut these supports, these noggins, to be exactly what that distance is there. So that'll go in there, spot dog in a minute. So I've got two of them. Because it's like 3.6 internally, I'm going to put two joists, two noggins in, one there at 1.2 and one there at 1.2. But what this will do is this will set my distance perfectly here. So you can see where I just dropped it on, I haven't checked this one yet, it's a mile out. But I know now, the other good thing about doing this is that when it comes to putting your insulation into the roof, if you're doing a hybrid roof, then what that means is each one of these bays is going to be exactly the same width. So that just makes it, again, a bit easier later on, as opposed to maybe this winging out very slightly or whatever. Spot on. The other thing I'll do on top of that is when I put these noggins in, I'm going to write the distance on it. So whatever the distance between there and there is, I'll write on these two noggins what that distance is. So when I come to cut it, I haven't got to even bother measuring that because I know exactly what it is. I've measured it once, sorted. So that is what I am going to do. Now I'm going to put you onto the old Uber debris, which will basically be like a support thing. If I can figure out how to work this thing again. Let's see if this does it. Excuse the old fingers and the falling around a bit and the slipping off. It's got a battery pack on the phone, which comes in handy when we do quite a bit of recording. So there you go. That's kind of neat. So now when it comes to fitting these into place, all I do is get a nail gun and I'll put 4 spikes in that way and 4 in that angle, okay? Before I do that, I'm gonna grab my chunk of wood, because if I secure it and it's just slightly out, I won't get this in. So what I'll do is grab this, bunch this across just a little bit. Now that's now right where it needs to be. Little nudgy nudgy. Spike the first one. That's 4 in that side, and now I know when I get my fingers back, I can pull that out, and then when I fix that into there, once I wig it across a bit, easy peasy, jobs are good. All spaced out nicely, all perfect, isn't going anywhere. So there you go, there's a little how-to top tip on how to put your roofing joists in. So literally I'm going to run now, do the length of this if I get time. Every one of those, at 400, getting that with an individual noggin cut per one. So it takes a minute longer, but it doesn't, it sprawls it as long. But normally I'd chop all these, chuck them all up, then I'll go around and measure the noggins. But this to me just seems a slightly better idea. So you live and learn, every day's a school day. So that's it. Right, time to crack on. Hello, and welcome back for the last 20 seconds since you last was for me. Right, I thought I would do just a very quick, I'll show you exactly, you know, I've kind of got a rhythm now. So there you go, you can see. 'Tis a lot of roofing, done, very nice. And you know when you're kind of doing something and you just kind of, you've done this much, and you kind of like pick that up, do that, move that, do this, go. I thought, well, I'll video it for you because I don't know whether that would be interesting for you. Don't worry, this part won't take forever. It's only about 15 minutes per cut, so yeah, it's not that bad. So here is how I go about doing it. So there will be a lot of swinging the camera around, but hopefully it'll be worthwhile. So, is that it? Right, so what I basically do, so I've got these trestles up here, all set up ready to rock and roll. Grab my length of 7 by 2. And what I'm finding is if I try and cut it on the chop saw, the overhang, even with this thing really extended out, it's still too much. So what I'm doing is I'm just circular sawing it. So I'm going to say 4475. So just clocking off the mark, 4475. I'll be sleeping tonight, think of that number. Straight edge of that mark. Boom. Circle saw. Done. And I do actually try and clear up as I go. Yeah, alright, it might be slightly full, but it's cool. Next, I double check to see which side is the crown. So that top edge there, that's the curved edge going like that. If you can't hear me, I apologise. I forgot to bring my microphone. It's in the van, it's parked down the road. So I'll swing you this way now. Hopefully you can just see up there. Can you see that? You can see that, cool. Right, I'll try not to knock you over with this bit of wood. Carry on through. Whip it up roughly into place, and what I'm doing is I can ironically see just through. So I'm just dragging this board until I see it just nudge the string line at the front. Sorted. Lining up the back edge so it's on top of my joist running through. I then just run up here, run, jump, so you can see me yellow string line. So where I just nudged it, I know I always nudge it slightly further than the string comes. Where are we at? Oh, that's pretty much spot on. This little tap, baby tap, so that's spot on the line. So that's that, perfect. Next I'll go back and take the measurement between that joist over this away. So again, just double checking, making sure it's on that mark. 35 and a half. Doesn't matter what that one is, it's getting cut to the same as that. So I'll bring it around this way. And ironically, I've just run out of the last bit of board I was using. So, you know, you go through quite a lot of these, even for the noggin. So when you're measuring up, make sure you take into account you're going to have to do quite a lot of noggins through. And what I'm doing with these bad boys is, again, because it's just too much for the chop saw stand, I'm just using this as like a table saw like that. So 35 and a half. Mark off, draw your straight edge. Chop saw. Circular saw even, and the battery's actually not too bad, but I hit a massive great knot in the centre of that one, so that's why it took a minute to get through. Two of those, 35 and a half. Marky offy. Well, it's nice to have you, it's nice to have some company. I hope you're doing alright, and a cooler than I am right now. Done. There's my two nogs. Not like eggnog, which I also do love. Right, bring it that way. Beautiful. And then what I'll do is, I'll put one over here. Now I know that one's lined up roughly where I want it anyway. What I do with this one is, I just kind of get it so it's positioned roughly in the right place. That just needs budging over a bit. So that's roughly where it's going to go. That noggin now lives up there temporarily. And what I'll do is, and this is the hardest one because now I've got next to no space. But it don't matter. will persevere. Just put this roughly where it's going to go. So that's going to be nice in there. Four in one side. Four in the other. And now the first one I did and the second one, these are actually 1200 from there, 1200 from there, done. Put it up, and then sometimes you'll find there's a bit of a gap because these are there's a bow thing. So what I do is just hold it. And that means I've got free hand now to make sure I can push this one exactly where it wants to be. That's that one. One more. Look at that. See, it basically fits in because I've already pre-marked it, or pre-spaced it, I should say. Done. That's how it is. So you notice yourself, you get yourself a little rhythm and you bang on, trying to get into it. So I hope that's helpful to actually see me doing it. The other little thing I'll say to anyone who's doing this on their toad, man belts, okay? They're not too expensive, but when you think I've literally got everything here, I'm not putting stuff down all over the place, my pencil isn't in the corner, my straight edge isn't over there and I have to pick it up because I'm chopping over there. Everything is on me where I need it to be. I even carry spare nails as well. This is genius, right? I've been meaning to get a big belt hook for this so I can actually, you know, utilise this for hooking on. And I keep forgetting. So, I don't know if you can see that. I'll back up a bit. So I got a little hacksaw, took the blade off, put it onto the little hook, so that just hangs like that. And now, tools helping other tools. So what the world should be like. Anyway, highly recommend this. This is a piece of cake once you kind of get your rhythm. And now, I shall take you out of here. All I'm going to have left to do now is cut these last two noggins for there and there. And that is this kind of section done. Once I've done those two noggins, I'll then jump at the front and the back and put the front trimmer on. And then put the trimmer on the back as well. Basically, when I say trimmer, it's basically the front bit that attaches to this, okay? So string line can come off now. Run a trimmer through. Done. Right, I hope that's helpful. It's only 10 minutes, not too bad. So yeah, happy days. I'll see you in a bit. Hello. So let's hypothetically say you're up. You're trying to get the trimmers on the front, or the side, or the back of your building. These are the trimmers. So this is a bit that basically joins onto the end of all your roof joists, which is like it is. Now, you're doing this, and you're on your Jack Jones, and there's one that just, look, just sticks up a bit. You can't do much with it. It's a right pain in the arse. That, to be fair, this isn't the best example one, but I just want to kind of show you what you can do if it is sticking up like that high or whatever, you know, and you can't quite, you're trying to pull it down, you're trying to keep it pinned whilst like firing into it. It doesn't work. Get some of these. In quick grips. Put it on between where you're trying to do. Give it a squeeze, one-handed. One-handed. That's it, that's that now held. And you just come along and go. Done. And dusted. Now for all of you who are sort of looking going, it's always the way when you do a video and like something just sticks out. Well, this is another good reason to show you why a tool belt is really handy, because I've got my hammer on me. Get that flush, get it in. I just winked, you couldn't see it. But that's it, done. Got the tools, piece of cake. See, you can do stuff with your Todd, but it's just having the right bits and pieces, like it's dead man's hand. Like for example, this bit here, so obviously I had to hold this 4.8 metre length up. Now I can't hold it and pin it at the same time. I could have done the grips either side, but I just quickly whipped in, zip this underneath, that just holds it in place, gives me something to support this end. I run down that end, hover it up, start throwing in some nails, I'm good as gold. So there you go, between those sort of things and those sort of grips to kind of close things up, perfect. Don't cost a fortune either, so you know, even if you're just building one of these yourself for the sake of it, that's the tool you'll always need, it'll always come in handy. Job. And there we have it, the end of the day, which is quite nice, because I'm quite hot now. But what a day. check it out. Check it out. So there you go. You just watched me put all those bits up and how to do it, which is lovely, lovely jubbly. I'll bring you back inside. Look at this. Now that is a strong old roof. Now, when you're working out what size roof joist you're going to want, if you go just type into Google roof joist spans, that'll bring up a website. I can't remember the name of it. I'll try and put a link in the thing below. But basically, it's all to do with like the width of the building. So you can't just chuck anything on it. You want to make sure you get the right stuff on it, because it's all to do with weight distribution, and it's about, like, say if it snows, you've got a lot of weight on the roof and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not just about, oh, it's up there and that's it. It needs to deal with weather conditions, and it will have to bear weight at some points when it is pinning down and when it snows and stuff like that. So yeah, go on there, figure out what size you need, and then that'll help you adjust the height of your building as well to be within regulations, because obviously that's a key point to take into account. But as you can see, wooden lintel doing its job nicely. Bim bam bob. Over here, what I did this morning, I can't remember if I mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. I set up a temporary steel, because I've got my steel beam on another job, which I'll go and cut once I go back there to finish a little part of that. So the steel beam is 160. This is jacked up to 170. When it comes time to put the steel in, simply I'll undo these two bolts, one either side, which is holding that together. We'll then raise this up using my special acros. So none of this at the front is supported at the second, so we can actually pivot it like a hinge off of the fixings off the back. Take it up just a little bit, I don't know, 20 mil. Whip all this wood out, slide the steel straight in. Jobs are good 'un. Happy days. This is here just a little header for the, what do you call it, the doors, which are going to be 2 meters. I miscalculated because even us professionals do it sometimes, and I had an extra 100 mil. I thought it was 2.1, so I've just adjusted for that with these. That's it, perfect. So the steel will fit just across the top. This one has a screw that goes straight through here into the steel. Ironically, it's quite useful because it gives me fixing for my OSB to go up and cover the steel at the front. So, you know, swings and roundabouts, isn't it? So tomorrow I'll have Dad and John back in. So me and Dad will finish putting the little noggins that go off the side, which will then go out to sort of give you your soffit on the sides. We'll put the trimmer on the back as well, as you can see over there. In the meantime, John will be at the back finishing off the battens on the outside of the building. So battens across that bit he's got to do, just doubling up, and then one's across here. Once he's done that, he's on insulation duty, so he'll fill these up with insulation. And then once me and Dad have put the trusses up in the trimmer, we'll then start dragging some boards up there and start getting the roof boarded, which is going to be nice because it'll create shelter in here, which is bloody brilliant. So we're in a really good position for like Friday. So yeah, it's all happy days. And love a little thing I did as well for the client. There was a massive trunk coming off of here, and it was dead. Massive it was. I trimmed that. I know I use a lot of power tools anyway, but I've never actually chopped a tree, at least not that amount, so that was good. And yes, Dad, thank you for sharpening my chainsaw blade. It went through it like a knife through butter. So if you made it this far into the video, thank you very much. And also chopped this bit here as well, just because it's starting to inhibit just slightly onto the front trimmer. So I got rid of it. I've trimmed that bit of tree back over there as well, just so it's away from the building, so it doesn't have to be trimmed for a couple of years. And then that is it, done and dusted. I'm off home because I can now, so brilliant. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. It really, really helps me out, and it's really very much appreciated. If there's anything you'd like to see or know more about, leave a comment in the box below. Or if you've just got a question, ping it in there. I'll get back to you. I always do. Take it easy, guys. See you tomorrow.